The NBA Combine is shaking things up this week, San Antonio Spurs fans, and most recent mock drafts have our Spurs drafting a wing and a point guard. But what if we took a big man instead?
Go, Spurs, go, 'cause the Giants stay.
What is up, San Antonio Spurs fans? Welcome to TSR Sports. Found an article from Bleach Report that's talking about some of the things we're seeing at the Combine, and I want to share that with you because might change your outlook and your thoughts on who we should or should not draft. And let's start off, let's just get into it right now. Why waste any time? Let's talk about the big guys, grading the elite 7-footers beyond the arc, starting off with Donovan Clingan. The game of a B+. Clingan appeared notably comfortable despite his 8 3-point attempts this past season. The arc and rotation on his shot both look like they were developed by a player who normally spends time around the perimeter. Executives came away impressed with the easy ball he shot, and it's starting to feel there is legitimate hitting shooting range within Clingan that will suddenly become a factor during workouts and teams' final assessments. A big worry for Spurs fans if we had somebody like that on the floor with Wemby, not going to be able to space the floor because he can't shoot. Maybe he can shoot. Time will tell. Up next, Zach Edey, he got a C+ on his shooting. Even Zach Edey hit his fair share of threes and mid-range pull-ups, though the time it took him to load up and release was expectedly slow. Last but not least, Alexander Sarr, they gave him a B-. Sarr started off shaky before finding a rhythm and demonstrating his shot-making versatility during movement and pull-up drills. I didn't have Alexander Sarr on the thumbnail. He ain't going to be there at 4. I would be shocked if Alexander Sarr is still available at the 4th pick overall. That being said, there's some other things to unpack here with the Combine I wanted to share before we talk about these two bigs a little more further in depth. Reed Sheppard leaps off the page, a name that's been attached to our Spurs here and there. The highest max verticals, 42 inches by the way, at the NBA Combine came from Trenton Flowers, Devin Carter, Keyshawn Johnson, and Reed Sheppard, whose athleticism has never been considered one of his strengths. Well, apparently he can jump. Optimists could buy the idea that his leaping helped compensate for the inch or two he's lacking in height for a combo guard. And he is short. Him and Dillingham have very short reaches. I think it was they both measured about 6'3", so maybe being a jumper can help his stock a little bit in the draft. Dalton Neck's foot speed results bode well for draft stock, and I see some of you have mentioned his name, so I wanted to point him out. Scouts have questioned how much his defensive outlook will negatively affect his value. Well, that came out a little weird. Scouts have questioned how much his defensive outlook will negatively affect his value. However, owning the NBA Combine's fastest shuffle run time and second fastest pro lane time, drills measure both lateral movement and change of direction, could help alleviate some concerns. So maybe he won't be as bad on defense as some scouts were originally saying. Devin Carter athletic test domination. Haven't seen his name linked to us at all, but I thought I'd point this out because this is kind of cool for the young man. He set an NBA Combine record for the fastest three-quarter court sprint time and tied for both the highest max, 42 inches, and standing verticals, 35 inches. He finished third in the pro lane agility drill. That's going to certainly probably draw some eyeballs. Alex Caramon's wild accuracy. So another player from the current champions, UConn, going for a three-peat soon. He shot 27 of 30 on dribble jumpers, 21 of 25 in the star drill, and 21 of 26 on mid-side jumpers. All first place numbers. So Caravan absolutely killed it in the shooting drills. Of course, it doesn't matter what you do in drills or in practice. We're talking about practice. It matters what you do in the game because you play to win the game. And last but not least, I wanted to bring this up because I'm sure people are certainly talking about it. Bronny James lights up drills. James kicked off athletic testing with an impressive 40.5-inch vertical. He puts up strong numbers across the board of his leaping and foot speed, but it was his shooting that generated the most attention. He ranked second behind Alex Caravan, we just talked about, and the star drill, making 19 of 25 threes, relocating to a new spot after each attempt. He closed the drill, hitting 12 straight over a minute and 15-second stretch. And this is a player some of you talked about, maybe drafting in the second round, not necessarily to draft Bronny and bring in LeBron James, though some of you want to do that, but maybe drafting Bronny and trying to trade him to the Lakers to get some future assets. That being said, let's circle back to who we're talking about today. Zach Edey and Donovan Clingan. And I know a lot of you have argued, the two big system doesn't work, and having two bigs like this doesn't work, but it is working out for Minnesota. I would certainly be fine with one of these coming off the bench instead of Zach Collins, and starting Trey Jones and Nerm. So let's back up for a second, Spurs fans. So if they draft a big, maybe they draft a wing as well, and they hold off until point guard to next year, or they trade for a point guard. There's still a lot of rumors swirling around about Trey Jones or DeJounte Murray possibly coming to San Antonio. And we look at these two bigs. Donovan Clingan is 20 years old, championship UConn team. He's just under 7'2" and just under 7'7" reach. Zach Edey is even bigger, 22 years old, just under 7'4" and a near 7'11" wingspan. I said reach, wingspan. To give you comparison, Alexander Sarr, who most people expect to go number one overall, is just under 7 foot. That's right, he did measure just under 7 foot, 6'11" and 3/4 inch. He has just about a 7'4" wingspan. Could we see a situation where the Spurs possibly draft Donovan Clingan with the fourth spot, and I can't see him dropping to eighth? Or could the, I don't want to say reach, but Edey's now projected to go, I think, late lottery. Could they take him eighth? We don't know, but I like exploring these possibilities because I love talking our Spurs, and this draft is an important draft. This is a huge draft for Brian Wright. If he misses on both picks, first and foremost, that would be soul crushing for me, and I'm sure you as well. But if he misses on both picks, that would really be having me scratching my head. Like, you know what? Yeah, you drafted Wemby. That was a no-brainer. Maybe you aren't the right guy for the job. So he really needs to nail one of these, preferably both of them. Or, just going to throw this out hypothetically, because Miss TSR Sports is watching and she's a huge UConn fan. Could we see a situation where the Spurs draft Clingan at 8 and maybe Castle falls to 8, and then we get the two UConn guys, the two best UConn players in the lottery, coming off our bench? And I think that's where they would start right now, coming off the bench. They would have amazing chemistry together, having been with the UConn championship team. So could we do something like that? I don't know. Last year, I think what's got me so puzzled in this draft is last year it was extremely obvious who we were taking. Victor Wembanyama. And even before that, with the draft in 2022, while I did not expect Blake Wesley or Malachi Branham, with our lottery pick when we drafted 9th overall, I was fairly certain it was going to be Jeremy Sohan. I felt that's, and that's who we picked. With Jalen Duren being available, that confused me draft night. But going into the draft, I felt like, whoever's there at number 9, Jeremy Sohan, felt like there was a good chance he was going to be taken. There was a couple other guys, maybe 2 guys. When Devin Vassell was drafted, I think that was a little more of a, not sure what's going on. And that's what this feels like this year. It's like, I don't know which direction the team's going to go. We're obviously going to try to build around Wemby. We're not just going to draft best player available at our spots, I don't think. We're going to draft the best Wemby, guy next to Wemby available. I mean, the guy that's going to help unlock Wemby's game, but a guy that's also going to have his game unlocked by playing with Wemby. We're going to build around Wemby. Could one of these guys complement Wemby's game? I mean, we would be an absolute monster in the paint with these two giants out there with Wemby. If I had to pick one, I'm probably going to go Clingan just because it looks like he might have some upside with his shooting, and there might be a 3-point shot in there. There's a lot of players that come into the league without a 3-point shot, and then over a couple years, next thing you know, they have a 3-point shot. If the man above me can develop a 3-point shot with his basketball IQ and his passing, he could be a great complement to Wemby. The big question is, the big problem we're going to have, Spurs fans, is Wemby played much better at the 5. If we slide him back to the 4, is that going to hurt his game? I don't know. I'm having so much fun this offseason, just as much as I did last year, maybe even more. Like, I was obviously stoked about getting Wemby last year, but this draft, we have the 4th and 8th picks. Could we trade up? Could we trade for a player? What the heck's Atlanta going to do? I love talking about it because it's so much fun. And oh my gosh, we have to wait like 6 weeks to get all these answers. But until then, we'll be dropping content left and right. If you're still here, make sure you hit the thumbs up. It does help support the channel. The only thing we'll ask for here. And if you're also still here and you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button. We're an awesome San Antonio Spurs community. We'd love to have you join us. And again, last but not least, I'm sorry, I'm doing my closing. I'm trying to set the end so I don't bombard you with that at the beginning. Would you? Let me know in the comments below. Would you be happy with either of those players? Or are you in the mindset, wing and point guard, wing and point guard, wing and point guard? That's it. So thank you all. Hopefully you're having a wonderful day. As always, go Spurs, go.
And then you mix it to Wemby.